Hello everybody, Anna Sabramwitz here. Hope you're having a fabulous Wednesday. It's hump day. This is fabulous. This is what I'm going to talk about today. I hope it is something that helps you think about you, helps you think about your career, because the people that I'm talking to are not people who are just getting started. It's people who have worked as an instructional designer and e-learning developer for years, and they're hitting this wall. And let me tell you, there's a reason you're hitting that wall, okay? Not all of you will resonate with this, and that's okay. I'm not talking to the everyday person everywhere, right? I'm talking to people who got their dream job, basically, right? They're doing the work that they love to do, which is craft e-learning, craft interactive experiences. They have, what they need. They have the software, whatever. But there's something happening where they're actually hitting a wall or a block, and they're wondering what's going on. Why me, right? And so if you're somebody who's brand new to instructional design or e-learning, this isn't for you. This is for people who have probably pushed themselves in every single way, and now they're just hitting that roadblock. And let me tell you a story, and this is a personal story. Years back, right, when I was transitioning from trainer to corporate trainer to e-learning developer and instructional designer, I wanted to get a different job, right? And I wanted to upskill myself. So what did I do? I knew where I wanted to move into. So I started just reading. I started going to webinars. I started taking courses. I got myself my own license of Articulate, and I worked in the evenings and in the weekends to build pieces that I wanted to build, because I wanted to learn, and I wanted to fit into that role. I wanted to walk into those interviews confidently, right? And so basically what happened is over 6 months, you really just start really upskilling yourself, right? It's not an easy process, because you're doing it by finding little pieces of time here and there, right? And things that are supposed to be things that you're trying to work on, right? For yourself. And it's funny because that investment in yourself, right, comes from you wanting to achieve success someplace else. And this is what happens to most of us that actually bites us in the butt. You get it. You get that dream job. And then you know what happens? After a while, you stop doing all those activities that got you there, which is the learning, the investing in yourself, taking time to do the things that you need to do to keep yourself, at the top level. You stop doing that. Why? Because you're freaking busy, right? Things aren't things you got it, right? So you kind of get you get comfortable there. Or what you end up doing is putting out fires. And the fires are everything that, that you're taking care of. The fires are always there, of course, right? But they become your priority. And I talk to people every day who want to be the person who, if there's a challenge, or if there's an opportunity to do something creative or different, that they're the go-to person, right? That is the person who initiates those ideas, who's kind of the change agent at their organization. But you can't be that if you're not constantly investing in yourself, right? Investing in your own skill set. So what happened to me is, after a while, because I was so slammed, right, with work, and I'd be just, you guys, the churn that I had, and we used to have some serious quotas about taking courses that were in one platform, and we were moving to another, and it was years of courses, and we had to convert them into more engaging web pages. And I remember being commended for putting my nose to the grindstone, good for you. Way to work through those coffee breaks, right? And it was kind of silly, because the work was going to be there anyways. But me, right? Was I going to grow? And it happens to us, right? And I'm talking to people right now who are, and it's funny because I think this is the e-learning renaissance. There is so much work out there for people who develop e-learning and online courses. It's insane, right? That's where everything is moving, right? and they're slammed, and they're doing, like, when I talk to them, they're like, I am so busy, but I just feel like basically I'm just like, like stamping stamps on a piece of paper. I'm just doing that, and I feel like I haven't pushed myself enough to actually be able to say, step back from all of this I'm doing and say, is there a better way? Because I dare say, just because something used to be in the form of live training or a live session, and now we're all at a distance, that does not mean that every single piece of training that we had actually warrants us converting it into online learning. And in fact, as far as I'm concerned, we're actually probably hurting a lot more people by putting everything that we had face-to-face into the digital aspect, because it doesn't all translate like that. It's kind of silly to believe it does. And the other thing that I know from experience is that sometimes e-learning courses and online experiences are actually better, not because they're they're able to be customized for the learner, or now that you're delivering them in one-on-one, so people are addressing it when they're ready to learn and all those things. That's really cool. That's great. But a lot of times the reason an e-learning course or an online interactive experience is better is because there's a thinking process that goes into, how is this experience online going to be different? Because it's considered in its context, which is also the delivery of that piece, right? So now what we're doing is we're just going slam, live to digital, and we think it's going to be effective and work. I actually worked with an organization. This is an awesome example for you guys. So what they did is they ran these annual or biannual sales conventions, right? And during the sales conventions, they would get all the top salespeople. They're probably not top, all of the salespeople together, these conventions. And during these, they would also offer these workshops, right? Sales workshops. And everybody freaking loved these workshops. They were like, these are amazing. Smile sheets, the things you hand out at the end. Everybody just loved them. Great reviews. But then eventually, they realized that it was getting really, really expensive to fly everybody down to the same place, right? And so you're thinking, this is natural, right? This is what they're thinking. Okay, we can't do that, so what can we do instead? What do they do instead? And this was hilarious, because it makes logical sense, it's common sense, but this is not, the result was terrible. So what they did is they had this one guy who was an amazing trainer. He was he'd been there for years, he used to be a sales guy, he had all these stories, he had all these amazing kind of charisma, and so he would, run these workshops live, right? And there was I saw pictures of hundreds of people, and he's just running the show. He's like the Tony Robbins of sales, right? It was awesome, right? And so they're like, you know what we got to do? We just got to record this guy talk and put it into chunked pieces of information, and this will be our training with some support resources. Guess what happened? Imagine turning something as fun as being out of work to in a different place, being with your peers around a table, having somebody tell you funny stories, all those things, on top of the fact that he's got this charisma and they're learning new things. And then you take that and you turn it into a talking head and you say, all right, we got it. Now, what was cool is that they did that. They did it on their own, right? They captured him, and he tried to be as amazing on this little video cam as he could be in person. You lost 50% of that energy. But they said, you know what? It didn't work. They said this learning flopped. We spent all this time, got this guy to talk about everything and anything that he felt was relevant. We built it. It was beautiful player, HD. It didn't work. Why? Because they took something that was, already kind of working in this specific context of a conference and an environment that they did every year, the gathering of people together. And they were like, the only thing that this is just this content. And we can just take this content and move it. And it never works like that, ever. And that's what we're doing right now. I think a lot of us are doing this. We're like, oh, this is just content. We ignore the context of when that content was shared, and then we're not rethinking it for an online experience. It's completely different, right? So I can see why people are frustrated, because they're like, you know what? I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for just straight up conversions. I signed up to be creative. I signed up to be an advisor, a trusted advisor. And I signed up to look at these things and kind of have this big picture overview and say, I'm not just here to convert things for you. I'm here to actually look at the big picture strategy. In some cases, say no, this ain't gonna work. All we need is a freaking PDF to send out to them. And even then, you know, just push back. Just push back. Now, I know I can come off as silly idealistic about some of these things. I know I talk about things and people are like, yeah, Anna, but in the real world it doesn't work like that. And that's cool. There will be pressure on you to continue being the hamster on the hamster wheel. That's fine. You don't have maybe control over everything, but there is things you have control over. Remember when I talked about me wanting to get that better job and me deciding that I was going to invest in me, because if things continued the way they would have, I probably would have quit being an instructional designer. I would have said, is this all there is? Nobody out there wants interactive stories. Nobody out there wants scenarios. Well, people do. Of course they do. Huge organizations do. But I wasn't in a position to offer that. So I needed to put myself in a position to offer that. And so I worked my butt off on myself, and I did it, right? So you got to think about, where do you have autonomy? And if it is half an hour every night instead of Netflix, or half an hour every night before bed, or half an hour after work, or half an hour before work, for you, that's what you got to do. You got to do that. So there is always resistance, especially if you're at a large organization that has a lot of like old school, you know, the bigger an organization gets, almost the less agile they get, right? They get all this dogma that starts happening, and it's hard to break out of that, especially if you are a one-person department and you're trying to affect change. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I've been there. It's stifling. But if you can go and spend a little bit of time every day or every week getting better at your craft and crafting things that you want to do and crafting things that push you further, I tell you, even those moments that you spend at work churning those cogs, you will have that little piece that's saying to you, yeah, but when I go home, I get to work on my passion project. I get to work on the things that I know are going to make a difference and have impact. It's huge, guys. It's huge. It'll reignite your career. And it's actually crazy because some of the students in our membership program, we run an interactive storytelling program. One of the things that I see now, people are posting just how they feel about the work they're doing now, and how they were almost at the brink of not wanting to do this anymore, and this has like reignited their career and their passion again for the love of learning, because that's why the heck we got into this in the first place, right? We love to do this stuff. And you got to find that, because it'll manifest itself not just in your life, you know, not just in your work, in everything. Everything will be affected. Everything affects everything else. So here's what I just wanted to leave you with as well, because I think this is, I'm hearing a trend when people are talking about their own work, their own portfolio work, right? Just because something is your portfolio doesn't mean all the work in there, one, has to be all the work that you've ever done, and two, has to be work that you've done for clients. It absolutely does not. Because imagine if your clients have always been limited to PowerPoint conversions, but you never want to do that again. You want to do things like interactive stories. You want to do something like that has impact, and it has a narrative, and it has scenarios, right? And you've never had that client. Well, why not build your own? Like, the things in your portfolio are an example of work that you want to do. So if I was Michelangelo and nobody had ever asked me for a fabulous oil painting, that does not mean I would not paint a painting anyways, right? Showcase what you want to build. You're not stuck to going, who, these are my past clients and this is the only work I have and I've scrubbed out the things that are there. No, your portfolio can be work that you wanted to put together and you think is a great representation of adult learning. That's what I did. I was like, this is all boring, gross, and content dumps. I don't want to do that stuff. I don't want to feature stuff I've done before. It's not me. It's things that I want to move beyond. Put together something that makes you excited to share it, makes you proud, and you're like, I built this. I actually collaborated with, my friend or somebody I trust, and I got the info from there. I tested it with a whole bunch of people. Now it's public. Now you own it, but it's also your love, your passion is in there, right? So it's expressing those things. So my thing about portfolios is you don't have to share old, stale work from other people. Put in it the work that you want to do in the future. And you don't need many pieces. Sometimes you just need one rockin' piece, right? And that'll be enough to share your passion, to share your creativity, to get you ignited again, right? Because this is a difficult time because you're bogged down, you're stressed out, there's lots of things happening. But imagine if you take this time to just sharpen that sword, right? Sharpen it for yourself. So, all right. It's just fun. This is good stuff. We love this stuff. We need to invest in ourselves again because a lot of times, like I said, everything gets put by the wayside and you're put on the back burner. And in my mind, if you're not moving forward, there's no standing still. You're just moving back. You really are. So you got to make sure you're constantly moving forward or you're going to find yourself in this rut, right? So if you actually want to build your own interactive story, and maybe you're working at a place that the interactive story isn't the thing they'd be going for or care about, but you want to take yourself to the next level, I would love to talk to you. So I'll put a link underneath this video to my calendar. And the strategy session that we're going to talk about is basically just you figuring out, where am I at? Where do I want to take myself? And can Anna help me, right? So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about just where you want to take yourself, because you have to have that vision and that goal. And also things like, you got to be able to spend the time. There's no magic formulas here, no magic buttons. We know this. Like I'm just going to help you do more of what got you to the awesomeness that you're already at. And we're just going to push past some thresholds. If that sounds like you, I'd love to talk to you. And if you found this is the kind of video that you found helpful, or you think somebody else should hear this message because they might be just struggling right now, please share it with them. I would love that. All right. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care, my friends. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it.